It's been well over a week of rain now, and while there has been some respite today, there's more forecast in the coming days, and I think there was more rain just a little earlier this evening, in fact. We've seen flooding as well in Mpumalanga in particular. At least 4 people there have died and possibly more. So can we blame Tropical Storm Eloise? Can we blame climate change? And what can we expect in the days to come? I'm joined now by Professor Francois Engelbrecht, Professor of Climatology at the Global Change Institute. Professor, good evening. What is causing all this rain? It's not normal, even though here in Joburg we are in our rainy season.
Good evening, Sally. Yes, it is now 12 days since Tropical Cyclone Eloise first made landfall at Beira. 10 days after its remnants moved into South African territory but that was on Monday the 25th of January as a tropical low. And this system continued moving westwards, and after the initial landfall at Beira, it started lingering over Botswana for about 3 or 4 days in the form of a weak tropical low. And it is indeed the cyclone that has brought all this moisture into the region. This tropical low pressure system over Botswana, in fact, causes a type of circulation that causes tropical moisture to flow from equatorial latitudes southwards in South Africa. And what then happened is that we had a series of weather systems from the high latitudes of the Earth and the so-called westerly wind regime. And these upper air systems moved to the south of South Africa, but each time that one of them moved over the country to the south, it contributed towards putting that moisture southwards into South Africa. So we now have had about 12 consecutive days of rainfall over much of eastern South Africa, and the persistent cloud band that has been linking Botswana and tropical areas further to the north to central South Africa and at times to eastern South Africa. So it's a really remarkable and a quite exceptional weather system.
And it's not over yet. If I look at the weather forecast, it looks like there's still days more to come.
Absolutely. As we speak right now, there are more thunderstorms moving from Botswana into Northwest Province and into the western part of the Limpopo Province. And indeed, the forecast is that it's going to remain cloudy with some rain right through the weekend in eastern South Africa, especially in the northeast, and into the early parts of next week. I can make a bit of a forecast and say that I think the biggest rainy day that we have left from the system is tomorrow. Much of eastern South Africa can maybe expect another 10 to maybe as much as 30 millimeters of rainfall tomorrow. But then the predictions do indicate that the system is going to lose momentum at last. And we should start to see more sunny skies from the weekend onwards, especially from Sunday onwards, setting in the northeast. I think it's going to remain very cloudy over KwaZulu-Natal, though, maybe all the way through until next week, Tuesday.
And, you know, cyclones are fairly normal. Tropical storms, we know about them, they do happen. But what is the intersection between those so-called normal but extreme weather events and climate change?
Yes, so tropical cyclones reaching Mozambique is not uncommon, of course. It happens, in fact, on the average, maybe once every 2 years or so. But southwestward moving cyclones, so tropical cyclones that move into the southern part of Mozambique, and usually in weakened form then reach South African territory, that is quite exceptional. There's only a handful of examples of systems that have followed this type of trajectory over the last 30 years or so. The most infamous case is tropical cyclone De Moina that caused widespread flooding, far worse than what we've just experienced with this past event. That was back in January 1984. So these events moving southwestwards, they occur more rarely. It is still part of our natural climate variability. We cannot attribute their mere occurrence to climate change. But the big risk that we are facing in South Africa moving into the future is that tropical cyclones that will reach southern Mozambique, say Maputo, or cyclones that move into the Limpopo River Valley as tropical cyclone Eloise did, or systems that follow southward trajectories into Swaziland and northern KwaZulu-Natal. these types of systems may in the future be more intense than we've ever experienced them to be in the past. So unfortunately, in a warmer world, tropical cyclones have the potential to grow more easily into what we would call Category 3 to Category 5 hurricanes. And such intense tropical cyclones reaching our region is a risk I think we are quite unprepared for.
Well, thank you very much for chatting to us this evening. That was Professor Francois Engelbrecht, Professor of Climatology at the Global Change Institute. We're living in exceptional